Did you see the film A Few Good Men? Yeah. Okay, that was the one with the suicide scene. How about The Grifters? Great movie, great movie. Backdraft, Good Morning Vietnam. You know what they all have in common? They are among the over 40 films that actor JT Walsh has appeared in. And currently, JT can be seen playing John Ehrlichman in the critically acclaimed film Nixon. Before we bring him out, let us take a look at a scene from Nixon.
You think this is about politics? Do you think LBJ would ever have asked Hunt to forge a cable implicating Kennedy in the assassination of the president of Vietnam? How long have you known him? About 20 years?
There's a Roosevelt room named after our 26th president.
This is about Richard Nixon. I mean, you got people dying because he didn't make the varsity football team. You got the Constitution hanging by a thread because he went to Whittier, not to Yale. And what is this Bay of Pigs thing, by the way? It goes white every time you mention it.
It's a code or something.
Well, even I figured that out.
No, I think he means... I don't think he means Kennedy assassination.
Mr. JT Walsh. Did you put on weight for that film? You look very slim.
Thank you very much.
No,
It's the miracle of liposuction, you know?
so did you? You looked heavier in that film.
Yes.
Yeah. And you looked heavier in Hoffa.
And a little less hair, too.
Ah.
That's tough. You can lose weight, but it's very difficult to lose hair.
What do? Do they shave it off, or do they
You got to really starve to lose hair.
No, do they shave it off, or they make you wear one of those little bald things?
No, well, they make you shave it off.
Oh, and then it grows back in thicker, doesn't it, if you shave it off?
No.
Oh.
In fact,
it grows back.
I used to think it was easy to grow back, but now I find out now that it takes a long time to grow your hair. The younger you get.
The younger you
get.
I mentioned, I don't know if you heard me say in A Few Good Men, and I was curious, when you do a scene in which you commit suicide, it must be bizarre, or it must have an awful thing to it?
No.
Not at all?
Not really, no. Because in the first place, I don't even, you know, I'm not shooting myself. People who've seen that film often remark, my God, what a gory scene that was.
Well, we know you didn't shoot yourself, but didn't you pick the gun up and start to do...
I just pick it up and put it in my mouth.
Well, isn't that
do a trick. It's not a trick. I mean, it's just a military thing. And the scene, actually, though, for an actor, it's one of those things that's called playing against the script. So when a script is heavily weighted, like with this sentimental thing of committing suicide, and people saying, oh, my God, and it's a surprising scene. Simply because when you look at it, all he's doing when you first see him is he's writing a letter and getting dressed.
Yeah, full military
in a military
dress.
way, full military regalia,
Yeah.
you know. So that's easy to do. You just have to put on your pants, your coat. And acting becomes a lot easier when you have things to do. And that is just one thing after the next. So putting on pants, coat, everything is easy.
So it wasn't anything to do this?
No. You just reach for the gun as the last thing and put it up. It's in the same rhythm as everything else. And that's what works to an audience, you know, is to put the feeling out there is the actor's job, as opposed to always carrying it inside. So if I can produce that effect, which thanks to the director and the writer and everybody else.
Okay.
There used to be a little phrase that Robert Mitchum had that he would mark on his scripts, NAR, which meant no acting required. And that was a good day.
Because when you're doing something like that that's so powerful, where our imaginations take over in a thing like suicide, where we go into our own, oh my God, suicide is so horrible. As I just did, even thinking that it would be tough to do, I'm, okay, got it. What's it like to play someone who's still alive, like a Mr. Ehrlichman, or?
I've done it a few times and getting ready to do it again. And it's, actually, in some respects, it's more difficult because you always think, what is this guy going to think when he sees me doing him up on a screen?
Yeah, right.
And in Nixon, for example, we all were, the people who are left alive from that period were all made available to us as actors. We could call them and talk to them if we wanted to. And I chose not to speak to Mr. Ehrlichman simply because he was threatening to sue almost every week.
Oh, well, that'd be tough to go. I'm going to play, sir, and before you sue me, could you get or
because
sue the company?
He still maintains his innocence.
He still, to this day, maintains
Right.
his innocence, right?
In anything to do with Watergate or the Nixon downfall or anything like that, which is sort of a real long-term example of the power of positive thinking. Because it's his belief, along with the rest of that group, that if you just keep putting out that I am innocent, you'll fight all the negative publicity and all the negative stories and everything else, and over the long term, you'll probably win out.
But you know what I wondered? I wondered because there are people who do that. There are those that think that the man has just been tried recently, named OJ, is doing the same thing. But have you ever told a lie? I think we all have, but I remember, oh, please. Never. In your entire life.
I don't think so, no. Well.
A fib, a little one, when you were a kid.
Except right now. I think that's the first lie I've told.
When I was a child, I can remember telling a fib. I remember telling a fib, and about the third time I told it, I thought to myself, I'm starting to believe this.
Absolutely. Works.
Now, if you tell something often enough that's a lie, you actually start to believe it. If you, by the same truth, if you tell something often enough and it's like positive, I didn't, I'm innocent, after a while, don't you believe it? Don't you convince yourself that you are?
Yeah, I think you convince yourself. The trick is, can you convince everybody else?
And that's what's called a jury and a court of law or the public, and I think a lot of people have.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know what the solution to that problem is.
Yeah, but I know that, as you said, that they honestly do believe that they are innocent. I guess in a political situation, you know, when you've got this, I mean, playing the part of Ehrlichman, I had to come to the conclusion, even though I lived through that period and was incensed at what was going on in my name as a citizen of the United States by what was going on in the White House, when I had to play the part and really honestly started to take a look at what these guys did in the White House. For example, Watergate, you know, that was nothing more really than a fraternity prank. When you think about it, they just put a little piece of tape over a door, went in, and got some information, and came back out. They didn't destroy anything. They didn't, you know, they were going to use this for their political futures. And I think, even now when I look at it, I can see these guys. They were all brothers of each other, fraternity brothers in college. You know, I can see them sitting around saying, I know how to get this. Yeah, I know how to get the Democrats. I got this really neat idea. We'll just go in. Who'll know? Be a little thing, right? And then who knew?
And it'll be fun, you know. And then they get caught, and because of that, it's like a Greek tragedy. You know, the tiniest little thing produces this wave that eventually overwhelms you.
Effect.
Yes.
Yeah, it's incredible.
And it's a tiny little moment in time. It's no big deal.
Who are you going to play next that is still living?
Does the Norman O. Schwarzkopf. Does that name ring a bell?
Really?
Well, no. I'm not playing him.
Oh.
I'm playing Norman O. Schwarzkopf, who was the general's father. And his role in history was that in the Lindbergh kidnapping,
right,
he was the head of the New Jersey State Police that persecuted Hauptmann and brought him to trial. So, some people think railroaded him into execution. He was executed.
The Lindbergh child was kidnapped. I don't know if you know the story. Very famous. The child was killed, was he not?
Yes.
And this person was. Are you saying this person may not have been guilty?
That's
that
right.
they may have been railroaded?
That's right.
And to this day, we're not sure.
We're not
Tough
sure.
role.
We're not sure. We're not sure.
We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk more with JT Walsh. But let me ask you this question before we go. Does JT Walsh stand for John Thomas, James Theodore, James Thomas, Jack, or Jojo Thomas? Other guesses right after this. None of them, eh? Not one?
Oh, with JT Walsh after this.
If you guessed James Patrick, then you were right for an Irish fella.
How many?
How many? Anybody
Not
guessed
one.
James Patrick? Not one.
It's tough from JT.
One young lady.
Come on.
Now, James Patrick Walsh's first job, he acted with James Wood, and it was in a play called Marat Desaad. And in this play, some actor knocked out 2 of your teeth and threw the producer off the stage into
That's
the
right.
audience. Who was this person?
Oh, I'm not going to name that.
Are they still around?
I think
still
so. I'm not
acting?
sure. Yeah. I haven't seen him in a while.
You wouldn't name him because why? It might have.
Oh no, I don't want.
He hit you.
I know. I'm waiting to hit him back. I mean, what good is it if I?
40 years later, I'll
That's
get
right.
you, right?
I'll get you.
Anything else ever happened to you? And I mean, in this.
In the business?
Yeah.
Of an embarrassing or physical nature? Plenty of embarrassing
Or at
moments.
night. I mean, you know, what comes to mind? You know?
Don't pick your nose. You said
Don't
that.
pick your nose. Did you not learn that?
Just
Did
did
they
it.
teach you that in theater school?
No, that's one
No,
of the
you're allowed
first
to do
things
that.
you learn in theater school.
Is?
Behavior, you know. Pick this and do this. If you don't know what to do, you just...
You start playing with some part of your
Yeah,
anatomy?
you look away, come back, you know. Works. It's very effective.
Who do you think's the best?
Scratch and sniff acting. That's all.
You got me doing it. I know you scratch and sniff interviewing.
right.
Now. Well, it's really nice to have. Isn't it funny when people talk about bugs or something? You start scratching.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
get
right.
that thing. Best actor today, in your opinion? Some of the top 3 best actors. I mean,
Best actors.
yeah. Who do you really admire?
I like Hopkins, Anthony Hopkins, having worked with him. I thought he was terrific for his ability to do things. The longer I'm in the business, the more I like people who pare down their acting, who aren't so showy, who do it all from the inside and then come out. And I just saw a film that impressed me, Il Postino, you know, that Italian actor.
No, I don't.
Almost, you don't.
No.
There's a movie called The Postman. And from an acting point of view, it was one of the greatest acting jobs I'd ever seen on film. Just because he was so graceful and economic in everything that he did and made you feel everything as opposed to him feeling it and you kind of saying, I get it, I see, yep, she's upset or he's upset. You actually do have that effect produced in
I'm
you.
trying to
by
understand
economic
what
acting.
you're saying. The best acting you think is when you feel it inside as a... I don't understand. So if you are, as a great actor, you feel it inside, then we just pick it up from your energy?
Yes.
As opposed to you doing all of this to explain it?
Yes, I don't know whether you said on television you'd just been to the doctor yesterday or the dentist.
To the dentist.
Right.
Yep.
There's no sign of that.
That's
Now,
true.
if I see it in a script, just been to the dentist, and you know I've had major whatever, and I've got to do something. So an actor will get that and he'll start doing that kind of stuff, you know. To say, you get it? I just been to the dentist. I feel terrible.
Right.
When in fact,
All right. Yeah.
I don't know what's going to happen as a result of your dentistry or your doctoring,
Right.
and it's much more honest and true. And somewhere else in the script, I can see you going to the dentist, and that will say, my God, that must hurt. Look at her. Look at how well she, you know, she's not showing this at all. And that's what I mean by acting with economy, as opposed to showing all the time and saying, you get it, you get it, you get it.
Yeah. Yes. Yes,
Or what I
do.
call, do you get it acting? Yeah, right. But the other is much more powerful.
Do you watch your own films a lot of?
No. Costs too much money. Yeah. No, I go. Yeah, sure I do. I mean, I go to.
Is it a pleasant experience when you sit watching?
Sometimes it's painful. Sometimes when I see things and I say, "My God, did I do that?"
Yeah.
And other times, if it works, in other words, if it can. The thing about film is that there's so much time between the time you make it and the time that it's finally put together. And also, unlike the stage where you walk out every night and you know what you're doing and you know the rest of what everyone else is doing, I have no idea. When I make a film, you don't know what's going to happen for a good 6 months, because that's when they take everything
Right.
and they run away and edit and cut and change and do all this, so that when I see it sometimes there's so much distance from the
Right.
performance that I can say, I did that? Not bad. Or I did that? It's terrible.
I didn't
But-
know this. I was talking to somebody the other night that when they finish the film, the director's cut is actually the guy who gets to direct it says, okay, this is how I want the film to look. That's his cut.
Right.
And sometimes the people come along who put the money into it, the executive producer, go, excuse me, we're going to make it look this way. And the director goes, could you take my name off it?
That's right.
So that sometimes, because I often wonder when I see very good actors and I look at the film, I go, how did they end up in that piece of junk?
Yeah.
It's because what they saw here in the script can often, can be so totally different
Yes.
in the end.
Right.
Does that happen to you a couple of times?
Oh, it happens a lot when you're.
Oh.
It depends on the film you're doing. There are things that are called studio movies. You know, the big ones that you see that come out of Universal, Paramount. Those are, actors are called, you know, the suits make those movies, what we call the suits. And they are the people you never meet, you never see. They're executives who hide away in buildings.
They want this movie this way, so it's done that way.
They don't even always, they don't know what they want a lot of times.
So name me one of those movies. Give me an example.
That I've done?
Yeah.
Blue Chips would be one. Good Morning Vietnam was another one.
But Good Morning Vietnam was a great film.
Sometimes it turns out great. Doesn't mean it's going to have to be bad.
Okay, but it's just
A bad one? Or, no, not a bad
okay.
one. One that...
one that you didn't enjoy.
One I didn't particularly enjoy, Backdraft. You know.
Okay.
Now that was a lot of people enjoyed it. A lot of people enjoyed it. But just from an acting point of view, I thought it was, you know... until I discovered that Universal Studios has a ride called Backdraft. Then I understood the film. The film was just an advertisement for the ride.
No. The ride, then the film.
Well, the idea for the ride, then the film, and then the ride.
Amazing.
You see?
Your finest work, what you're very proud of.
Proud
if I
of?
said, yeah, you've got 41
Probably.
films. I'm going to go watch some of your films this week. Which would you like me to see?
Few Good Men was a good experience.
Yeah, you were excellent.
Good time in that one. Grifters was another one that I enjoyed doing.
Saw both those, both great films.
What else? Good Morning Vietnam, I enjoyed doing that one as well. And one I did up in Canada, Needful Things, which is not seen too much, but which has a sort of a cult following because it's a Stephen King thing. But I enjoyed the character. That was a guy who was way over the top.
Needful Things was the guy who had the little store.
Yes, right.
The antique store.
Max von Sydow.
And you went in and you sold yourself out for what you wanted.
That's right.
It was an incredible film.
Yeah.
It was an incredible film.
Yeah.
The little kid wanted the baseball card.
Right.
Yeah, it was an amazing film.
And I played this guy, Buster Keaton. That was his nickname, Buster, who wanted success, money, power, all the things that I want. So, and this film showed me what happens when you get them.
Excuse me, if your name is James Patrick Walsh, who called you JT? Geez, a penny just...
She did.
I didn't say I was the brightest in her. No, but I just went...
No cameras on now.
Where did JT come from? Is that just
From a producer. It's like...
Oh, you weren't kidding when you said that.
No, I wasn't kidding.
I thought it was a throwaway line.
No, that's true.
Some producer went JT Walsh.
That's it.
Well, here he is, James Patrick, better known as Mr. JT Walsh, as Nixon. It's out in the theaters now. It's been a real pleasure. Thank you.
Likewise. Thank you very much.